Hello and welcome to a new vlog and trip report and a very special video, because today we're going from Frankfurt in Germany to Milano in Italy, all the way with one train with the Giruno of the SBB, and here on the map you can see our route today. Our train today is classified as an ECE Eurocity Express in Germany and the Eurocity in Switzerland and Italy. We're starting very early in the morning with a breakfast at the main station of Frankfurt, and now we can take a look at the arrival of my train today. Now it's time to take a look at the interior of the Giruno, the SBB RABE 501, or also called Stadler Smile. Of course, we are traveling in first class today. We will be on this train for 8 hours without a break, so that's why of course I chose first class. First class comes in a 2+1 configuration, and the seats come with a rather small table which luckily can be enlarged so it's usable with a laptop. What I really like is that there's a small additional table on the side for drinks, for example, a trash bin and a bit of storage. Of course, there's also a reading light available. My small window, which is just there for my seat, has a sun blind, and there are even 2 power sockets for one seat. Soft and comfortable armrests which are movable on both sides, and also the seat of course is adjustable. The seat unfortunately is not that comfortable. It's not uncomfortable, but I was hoping for a bit more comfort for a journey of 8 hours. The seat is not too soft and not too ergonomical. It is quite nice, but I was just expecting a little bit more. So it's not bad, but it's also not amazing. We're now leaving the main station of Frankfurt, crossing the River Main, and our first stop is in Darmstadt. Usually this train does not stop in Darmstadt but in Mannheim, but when I was traveling the Riedbahn was still under construction, so we were going via Darmstadt instead. Here we are crossing the River Neckar, and now we are heading to the railway line to Karlsruhe, and then we are back on our original route. Our next stop then will be in Karlsruhe. Here we have a railway line to Mannheim, and then I went into bought a restaurant to get a few drinks, coffee and a bottle of water, and that was 10 euros. So you should remember that this is a train from Switzerland, so you will also pay the prices that are common in Switzerland on this train. We're now approaching Karlsruhe, our next stop. Here we can see the main station of Karlsruhe, and after Karlsruhe we are stopping at a very small village called Ringsheim. And we're stopping here because it's very close to the Europa Park, which is the biggest amusement park in Germany, and from here there is a bus shuttle to the amusement park, and that's why we are stopping also here in this small village. After that we are getting closer and closer to Switzerland, but before we have another stop which is in the city of Freiburg. After that we are heading for Switzerland. We're stopping at Basel Badischer Bahnhof and Basel SBB. Those are our next 2 stops. Right now we are in an ECE Eurocity Express. It's a name that is only used in Germany because this train is a bit more comfortable and faster than a Eurocity, at least that's what they say. And that's why it's not a Eurocity but a Eurocity Express, referring to the Intercity Express, the ICE of Germany. Here we are approaching Basel SBB, and here in Basel SBB we have a longer stop because we are changing the direction, and it's also good if the train has a delay from Germany. It might be again on time here in Switzerland. We've now changed the direction, and now we are also on a new railway line on this channel. We're now on the Hauenstein Railway, which has 2 different routes. In the beginning and in the end we are taking the newer, faster route. In the beginning we're going through the Adler Tunnel, which is more than 5 kilometers long. Then we are reaching Liestal. We are not stopping there, but there would be a connection to the Waldenburg Railway. And then we are using again the faster route, the newer route, which is going through the Gotthard Base Tunnel, which is more than 8 kilometers long. On the other side we are then reaching the river Aare. Here we are reaching the river and crossing it, and then we are following this river for a while as we are now continuing on the railway line Olten-Aarau. Here we have the station of Aarau, but we're not stopping here, we're going through. Our next stop will be in the city of Zurich. From Aarau we are continuing on the Heitersberg railway line, also without any stops, so we're going non-stop to Zurich now. On this railway line there is also quite a long tunnel, the Heitersberg tunnel, which is almost 5 kilometers long. And after going through this tunnel we are reaching the river Limmat, and we are following this river then until we reach Zurich. In Zurich we have another change of directions, and also here we are stopping for quite a while. Actually we're stopping here for almost 30 minutes, so if there is a delay from Germany, from Zurich on, this train should be on time again. That's why probably we have this long stop here, because the SBB of course knows that trains in Germany are not that reliable and it's quite likely to arrive into Switzerland with a delay. Most passengers were leaving the train here in Zurich, just a couple of passengers stayed on board, and I used the time here to take a short walk through the train to the restaurant. As you can see, there are no steps in the train, instead there are ramps, so this train is accessible. The walkways are rather small, but there are no steps. I personally think that this might be a bit dangerous, because a couple of times I stumbled because I was not seeing that there was a ramp that is going down or up, but of course it makes the train accessible. I got a small snack in the restaurant when it reopened after departure in Zurich, and we are now continuing on the Lake Zurich left bank railway line. But we are not seeing too much of Lake Zurich because we are going through the Zimmerberg Base Tunnel, which is almost 9.5 kilometers long, and after that we are gaining altitude and continue on the railway line Thalwil at Goldau, where we are going through the almost 2 kilometers long Zimmerberg Tunnel to reach Sihlbrück, which was a station until 2013 and used to have a connection to the Sihl Valley Railway. After that we have the Albis Tunnel, which is more than 3 kilometers long, and then we are reaching our next stop in Zug, and here we can listen to the sound of our train. From Zug on it's getting more spectacular, the landscape is getting more and more beautiful, because now we are going along the Lake Zug and we are following this lake for almost its entire length. And on our way we have a couple of tunnels, but also a lot of beautiful views. In this case I was lucky to sit on this side of the train, because after that we will get to Lake Lucerne, which is the most beautiful part of the railway line, and the lake is on the same side. Otherwise I was a bit unlucky, because I was sitting backwards for almost the entire trip. Only between Basel and Zurich I was sitting forwards, but the whole other part of the journey I was sitting backwards. Of course, luckily that is no problem for me, but if you have problems with that, make sure to sit forward when you are leaving Frankfurt, because then you will be forward until Basel, backwards to Zurich, and then forwards again on to Milano. So as you can see, the landscape is pretty spectacular. Of course, it's always beautiful if you're traveling through the Alps, and we are now getting closer to the mountains. Here we are slowly approaching our next stop in Art Goldau, where you have connection onto the railway up to the mountain Rigi, and you have a connection to Lucerne and to Pfäffikon. But of course we are then continuing on the Gotthard Railway, which is of course a very famous and spectacular railway line. Here we are leaving the station of Artgoldau, and just a couple minutes later we will reach the most spectacular part of the railway line when we are going alongside Lake Lucerne. But before that we can see another lake, which is the Lake LiQWYD, which you can see in the background here. Not as spectacular as the Lake Lucerne, but as you can see also very, very beautiful. Here we are going through the station of Brunnen, and that means that we have now reached Lake Lucerne, one of the most beautiful lakes of Switzerland, and we're going alongside for quite a while. The railway line is splitting up here. We are going through a couple of longer tunnels, so we're not seeing that much of the lake, but whenever you have a view of the lake, it is absolutely breathtaking and incredibly beautiful. And it's also a very important part in the culture of Switzerland, because on the other side of the lake there is the so-called Rütli, and this is a place where, according to a legend, the Rütli-Schwur took place, which is the oath marking the foundation of the original Swiss Confederacy. Therefore, a very important part of the culture and history in Switzerland, which you can see here in the background. After passing the city of Flüelen, the landscape is slightly less spectacular because we are following a quite flat valley, but in the background you still have the magnificent view of the Alps, as you can see here. And then we are reaching the most interesting part of the railway line when it comes to technology, because we are reaching the Gotthard Base Tunnel. This tunnel is 57 kilometers long. It's the longest railway tunnel in the world. Of course, it's not that spectacular actually to go through the tunnel, because you will just see black. You will see nothing as you are in the tunnel, but just the knowledge of being under the Alps for 57 kilometers with up to 2.5 kilometers of mountains above you, that is very spectacular. It takes, as you can see, I stopped the time, 20 minutes and 18 seconds to go through that tunnel. So for 20 minutes you will see nothing but black, so it's not spectacular to go through it, but knowing that you've been in the longest tunnel in the world, of course, is spectacular. There was a derailment in August 2023 in the tunnel, and it was damaged on a length of 8 kilometers, and it was just reopened in September 2024. And since then the Giruno is used for this train that we are on right now. Before that it was the so-called Astoro, the ETR 610, but now it's the Giruno on that line. Of course, the original Gotthard railway is more spectacular, but also takes much longer than the tunnel that we just took. We then continue. Our next stop then is in Bellinzona, and after that we are going through the Ceneri Base Tunnel, which is more than 15 kilometers long, and then we are reaching Lugano, our next important stop. As you can see, the landscape changed dramatically. We can now see palm trees. It's looking much more Mediterranean, as we are now already on the Mediterranean side of the Alps, already close to the border with Italy. Here you can see Lake Lugano, and we are now following the lake for quite a while. At the city of Melide we also have a causeway which is crossing the lake, also a very beautiful part of the railway line. This lake now is on the wrong side at the beginning, so I went to the other side of the train to take a couple of shots from this side. But as soon as we reach the Melide causeway, we are crossing the lake, and then it's on the right side again. So from there on I have the stunning views on my side again. Here we can see another Giruno, which of course is not only used on my line but also on a couple of other train lines in Switzerland, mostly lines from north to south, as there is no tilting technology required. Here we are on the Melide causeway, crossing Lake Lugano to get on the other side. Also a beautiful part, the railway line. As you can see, the weather today was fantastic, especially since we crossed the Gotthard Base Tunnel. We have now the nice Mediterranean weather with sun and much warmer weather. So you can see that the landscape, as I said, is looking quite differently. Our next stop then will be Chiasso, directly on the border with Italy. And it's well worth noting that there might be custom and border controls in the train when we're stopping at Chiasso. In my case, a few officers were getting on board and checking passports. From my side, they only wanted to see a passport, but other passengers also had to open their luggage and they were checking because of customs, so make sure to follow all regulations and bring your papers with you. Just a couple of minutes later, we're stopping at Como San Giovanni, close to the Lake Como, Lago di Como, and then we are heading non-stop to Milano, the end of the line. For me, that was quite an impressive thought that this is still the same train that I stepped on early in the morning in the cold and grey Germany, and now we are in warm and sunny Italy without changing a train. Took us about 8 hours, but that's for me quite impressive. So as you can see, now everything looks different. We have some different trains, different railway stations, because we are now already in Italy. And I was thinking about taking a plane or taking the train. Of course I took the train because it's interesting, but the question is, would I take the train again next time when I have to go there? And actually you can think about taking the train because the plane is not that much faster. Of course it is faster because the flight time from Frankfurt to Milano will be about 1.5 hours. But if you actually want to go from city center to city center, you need time to go from the city center to the airport. You need to arrive ahead of time at the airport. So it will not save you that much time to take the plane. When it comes to the price, I paid 145 euros for the single trip to Milano from Frankfurt in first class. So a flight might be about the same price. So in the end it's a bit up to you, but it is quite recommendable to take this train. Of course, the seats are not that comfortable. I was hoping for a bit more of comfort, but they are quite okay for 8 hours. It's still comfortable. You can use the time, for example, for work or just admire the beautiful landscape. So at least once in a lifetime you should take that train if you want to go from Frankfurt to Milano or the other way around. Here we are approaching the station of Milano Centrale, the main station of Milano. Very, very impressive station building. And here, after 8 hours, I'm leaving my train, which by the way arrived exactly on time, which was also very impressive. Here we are in the station of Milano. I will show you this very impressive station building in the next video a bit closer. Well, that's it for this very special video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was interesting for you. Here you can see when the next video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link. And of course, I hope to see you in my next video again.